Hi, this is Anthony Padone for CompleteSql. I'd like to continue my discussion about query stats, a very useful tool that we can use to diagnose performance problems. For one instance, sometimes we get queries that are timing out within our SQL Server instance. And we look for blocking, we look for deadlocking, we look for other possible causes, and we can't quite see what's going on. When that happens, one possible solution is to look at query stats and look at certain metrics that are being collected, and I'll show you in 2 seconds. So if I go into CompleteSql as I have here, and I click on the snapshot query stats, we'll run an instance of query stats, and it'll collect information that's sitting in the cache of our SQL Server instance. And here it is. And I'll just put it in work mode into off mode, into offline. One thing I can do is sort by object type and get the ad hocs at the top. And if I look further, I'm looking at the rows now. I see the total rows for this particular query here. The rows are very, very high. Total rows is over 1.4 million. The last row is 1.8 million, minimum max 1.8 million. So the rows are very high. I'll look at the elapsed time. The elapsed time seems rather high for this query. The worker time for the query, if we move across here, it is very high too. The worker time, total worker time is listed here, microseconds. The last worker time, average worker time, and so forth are very, very high. So we know that the query is doing a lot of work. It's having a lot of pressure to do a lot of work. If we look at the query itself, we'll just explode it here, the magnification. It's just a select all. So there's no predicate, there's no conditions, there's no where clause to limit the selection of rows. So as the table gets larger, so the results that get larger. So we understand that something is wrong here. But the biggest concern right now is, since this query is timing out and the rows are very high, we can make an assumption that we're hitting an asynchronous network I/O, meaning that the network buffers are filling up and the client cannot process all the results that are coming back to it. And during that transmission of data, the client is timing out. And that does coincide with the fact that we've been told this query has been timing out. So we now understand that the row is returning too many, actually the query is returning too many rows, and a possible solution to this problem is to put a delimiter on the selection, on the where clause, to limit the amount of rows that can be returned. So in a simple manner, we looked at query stats, we found a very high row count, and we coincided that with the fact that the query was timing out, and we need some sort of predicate to be placed on the selection clause. So that pretty sums it up for query stats, but I just wanted to show you that there's those many metrics that we can measure and many ways that we can look at query stats and solve many problems that we're having. So as always, for CompleteSql, please listen, please stay tuned, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.